It seems like there are tablets and smartphones for just about any size nowadays. Samsung has certainly been making the rounds with their Tab and Note devices, of which there is now an 8-inch version. And as a Note tablet, it brought a little friend along. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this? Oh. Is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. If you've gotten used to 7 or 10-inch form factors, the Note 8 is in the middle, and its most similarly sized competitor is probably the iPad mini. What you get here is Samsung's signature plastic design that is prone to fingerprints and can be a little slick to the touch. The 8-inch screen is surrounded by a decent bezel with the quintessential button layout at the bottom, the tactile home button flanked by back-end menu. The rounded look is basically all around, though the sides are thicker and flat enough to grip. Around the back is just the 5-megapixel camera, and down in the corner is, of course, the S Pen. As far as tablets go, this is a pretty thin device, and 8 inches is about as big a device can get before one-handed grips are impossible. It is really pushing it, though. The point of it, however, is that you can lay the Note 8 in one hand or just barely grip it so that the other one can tap and write away with the pen. For a reasonably priced 8-inch tablet, Samsung had to obviously make some concessions. This does sort of start with the display. With the barrage of 1080p displays coming out these days, the Note 8 instead sports a TFT capacitive screen capable of 1280 by 800 resolution and 189 ppi. You can pretty much see the difference right away due to the bloated TouchWiz icons. There is a decent contrast, and the saturation, while quite colorful, still doesn't rival the Super AMOLEDs found in Samsung smartphones. The pixel density leaves text looking decent but somewhat pixelated when zoomed in just right. Ultimately, this is definitely a good screen for reading, and when viewing pictures and videos, it still proves quite enjoyable. It's not a bad screen by any means. You can just say it just matches its price point. Now, performance on the Note 8 happens to be quite good. A 1.6 GHz Exynos 4 quad-core processor powers this tablet and does a good job of it. Rolling through the elements brought little to no stutters, and any pauses I might have run into were more due to updating apps than sheer performance. Antutu gave this Note 8 a score close to 18,000, which is still an impressive score. The Mali 400MP graphics and 2GB of RAM help make gaming and multitasking easy. Overall, the Note 8 should please pretty much anyone looking for a snappy tablet experience. The compromises taken to keep the Note 8 decently priced continue with the hardware. I should note that while there is a phone-capable version available overseas, we get the Wi-Fi version here in the States. And in it, you get the usual list of connection capabilities like Bluetooth, GPS, though in this version there is no NFC and thus no S-Beam. 16 or 32GB variants are available, though a micro SD card slot on the side allows for expansion. Of course, the big story here is the S Pen. Snapped into the bottom corner, the S Pen is a fixture of the Note 8, and it certainly awakens the tablet when removed. For the uninitiated, the S Pen is essentially a stylus with a button for added functionality. Its presence can be registered through taps, drags, and even hovers over the sensitive screen. Writing, diagramming, and even general navigation are possible with the S Pen, and it is a big draw for this line of Samsung's devices. It's a very handy piece of hardware to have, and before long, you could start using it more than your finger. It's also worth noting that you can now use the S Pen on the capacitive keys. Despite the portions of this tablet that have been removed for affordability, the S Pen is definitely its ace in the hole. You would think that a 4600 mAh battery could last for a really long time. For the non-removable battery unit in the Galaxy Note 8, however, that is mostly true. After using this tablet for about a week, I was happy to see that a whole day of moderate to heavy usage was really no problem. However, once I had the device ready for another day's work, it wouldn't last for too long on that second outing. Average users will definitely get just over 2 days from the Note 8, which is good, but power users might even be able to drain this battery in one very busy day. So, battery life is only very decent, despite the high capacity that the Note 8 is packing. The camera on the Note 8 works just about how you would expect for tablet optics. The 5 megapixels and the lack of a flash should give some of the story away already. Though we all know taking pictures with the tablet is a little weird, it's really there just in case you need it. That being said, it gives only decent photos, and there are only a few modes in the app like panorama or burst shot. It's not an exceptional performer and is definitely there more as a required feature than a selling point. Which brings us to the software, which is TouchWiz through and through. The bloated and colorful elements return with a few adjustments in this Jelly Bean 4.1.2 build. You have the power widgets up top in the notification dropdown, and a couple navigation additions like the palm motions. As a straight user interface, there is not much else to say, until you factor in the S Pen. With this stylus, you get a bevy of new ways to perform multiple tasks. A page buddy function immediately shows you what you can do with the S Pen the moment you remove it. S Note gives you a ton of different ways of jotting down notes or doing quick drawings. But there is more that the S Pen allows in navigation. For instance, an Air View function gives you previews as you hover the pen over certain elements, and a quick commands pop-up allows you to quickly jot down a search term or location to jump to. The button on the S Pen is important for some of these extra functions, as pressing it down while doing the motion will trigger the gesture. My favorite in particular is the cutout, which lets you surround a portion of the screen and only capture that part. The resulting image can then be used for scrapbooking or quick messaging. As I said before, it doesn't take long for the S Pen to become an extension of your fingers, and its added functions do make it pretty fun. When you take it away, however, this is just a classic Samsung experience. Whether or not the S Pen will matter is entirely up to you. And finally, price. As I've mentioned earlier, there are concessions made to ensure that the Note 8 remains decently priced. In the end, this Wi-Fi version of Samsung's tablet comes in at $399 US. And so, there you have it. It really boils down to just one question. How much are you willing to pay for the S Pen? It's obvious that this is the main appeal for this tablet, with its lackluster camera, only decent battery life, and the pretty typical touchless experience, especially when you take away the S Pen. But in its size market, the Galaxy Note 8 does bring a pretty good screen, along with above average performance. So for the average user, doing things like media consumption or ebook reading will turn out to be a pretty fun experience. The S Pen does add some functionality for productivity, but it's really up to you whether or not that puts the Galaxy Note 8 over the top. Keep it tuned to Android Authority for all the best coverage and reviews. Drop us a like on the way out, and then subscribe to our channel, because we are your source for all things Android.